This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Medical Gear Outfitters, and Colby Valve.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 340, Locker Talk.
Tonight, Aaron walks a marathon. Jeremy plans an outing, and Coy gets slammed.
This is probably why I don't run the music, because it's not on my board.
Oh, push the button.
Uh-oh. I closed it out for some reason.
You want me to go?
No, I can wait. We all can wait, Coy.
I was gonna say, you want me to live read it? I could do it.
No, we're good. Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Tonight, I'm here with Aaron and Coy. My name is Jeremy. Welcome to the show. I feel like I was just going to let you guys vibe on that music for a little bit. The Weekend Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off. Well, let's start out with Aaron. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I already got the peanut gallery. Ben, who couldn't make it to the show tonight, is saying terrible show. Yeah, clearly everything runs better when Ben's here. And hey, Mac, good to see you in the comments. And Tim is up early tonight.
Tim's here again. Jeez.
Up early? Oh, getting into the comments early. I got it.
Yes. Yeah, he's in the comments early. Yep. Let's see here. So what have I been up to? I just got back from SHOT Show. I went to SHOT Show. That's why I wasn't entirely present last week. I survived Las Vegas, which is a little surprising. My hotel wasn't in the best part of town, and the Airbnb that I had an option to stay at was in an even worse part of town. That's where we popped in from last week, was the Airbnb. So remember how I was showing you guys how low the beds were? Like it was basically a mattress on the floor. We figured out that it's probably for your protection because the exterior wall was a concrete wall. And so that you slept below the window level. So, yeah. So I think it was for protection. Tim wants to know what the best part of town is. I never found a best part of town. So, yeah.
I guess
Spearmint and Rhino Street.
What was that?
It's on the corner of Spearmint and Rhino. It's the best part of town, I hear.
I have a feeling that's the opposite of the best part of town, but
yeah. So, I went to SHOT Show I got there Sunday. Monday was range day and got to shoot some guns. I shot out to 880 yards with a 6.5 Creedmoor. I shot an 8x8 plate at 880 yards.
8 foot by 8 foot?
8 inch by 8 inch. Sorry. 8 inch by 8 inch.
You win the competition there too?
No, he didn't set this one up.
I was just checking. He wins a lot.
I did. All 3 bullets that they loaded into the gun hit my target. I
think he wins every year. Just saying.
Yeah, man, that's embarrassing. I'm not going to win this year for sure. I'll make sure of it. I'm going to throw the competition. I think I'll compete, but I just won't. I won't have my scores in the prizes. So
I'm gonna laugh when he tries to throw it and he like skips bullets off the ground and accidentally hits dead on.
I think you should compete using my gun this year, and if you can win with my lever action 308, then yeah. I'm gonna stop talking crap and I'm just gonna let you have it.
Does it have a scope on it?
Technically, yes.
What does technically mean?
It's a tube with glass on each end.
It's a scope. It's only a little bit older than I am, but it's still a scope. So
Yeah.
you have to do you're ranging manually. You have to guess how far to hold above target. It doesn't have all these little fancy clicks and stuff. You just kind of go, it looks like about 12 inches. Douche.
Bring it out. We'll try it. I'll show you how to use it, Coy.
Bring it
so
to
yeah.
snow camping. I want to do some long range shooting while we're snow camping. See if we can figure out a way to do it.
Okay.
So Monday was range day. Got to shoot a bunch of guns, some full auto stuff. That was kind of fun. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I walked the SHOT Show floor, and it was 18 acres of vendor space is what they advertise it as being. 18 acres, which is a lot.
And how much of it was full?
It was, I would say it was 92% full. I'm going to guess there was maybe 8% of the vendors didn't show up. It was probably even less than that. It's probably only 5% that didn't show. And then they had they had something that says it's 13.9 miles of aisles. So, I don't know how they did that. If they just measured down every single aisle, or if they did like a zigzag back and forth, or if they did all the aisles left to right and all the aisles up and down. I don't know, but 13.9 miles of aisles. So it was a lot of walking. Saw a lot of neat stuff. I rode the Lightning while I was there.
Wait, what? What? Say that again.
I rode the that's a different kind of Lightning.
Okay.
So there was a guy there showing off these gloves, and in the palm of the glove there's 3 sensors up high and 2 contact patches. And on the back of it, on the hand part, is a big battery that put out some really high voltage. And I didn't know, he did not like say just, this is going to feel worse than electric fence, or like he gave me nothing. And he grabs a hold of my arm just behind the wrist, and I just like collapsed to the ground in pain. Like there was nothing I wanted more in life than to comply and have him stop touching my arm with his hand.
Your boyfriend's gonna love that, Aaron.
So it was harsh. But I also thought it was really cool because it has a lot of applications in the police world. I could see it getting used and abused, but I could also see it working out good. So
did you get any of those?
No, I didn't get any. Like, should I write to him and be like, hey, I'm from the Off-Road Podcast. Would you send me a sample?
If we could have like 7 of them for our snow trip, and just can you imagine the snap fights? Somebody would be leaning on their truck, and you just see somebody with a big black hand put it on the side, watch them get jolted from 8 feet away. Like, it would keep us all on our toes. It'd be really fun.
How about like some traditional families like play football after Thanksgiving or before Thanksgiving?
Oh, touch
football.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine?
Was it the stun gun gloves or something?
Just a good old-fashioned game of tag would be fine,
I'm trying to find these now.
I'll tell you what they are. I took a picture of it somewhere here.
I want to see how much they are. The glove from Compliant Technologies.
I think it's Compliant Technologies, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know if I make like a whip out of a piece of wire, if I could like Indiana Jones people with that, holding it with the glove and shock them.
Well, so he didn't show me how these work, but they had shields and they look like a Captain America shield. So somehow they had a shield too. So, and then I guess in one last part that they had was these, like, your blood pressure cuff that goes on your arm. They had some of those, but you wrap them around the people's legs, and they use them in like courtrooms. And if like someone gets out of hand, it has a remote control button. So,
those would be good for the snow trip too. Make everybody put one on. We'd be wheeling. You'd see somebody just swerve into the ditch randomly, Put all the controllers in a bowl and everybody grabs one, and you leave.
Wow.
Yikes.
You hope you grab your own. So
Yeah.
Wish.com sells a version.
Oh boy.
I feel like that might accidentally kill you somehow.
Yeah, it shocks you at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. Besides SHOT Show, which I had a lot of fun at, I did do something off-road related. I fixed my son's RC truck. The steering servo went out in it, so he used some of his Christmas money, bought a upgraded one, and I got that put on and got him out wheeling again with his RC truck. So I don't know if you guys know this, but RC vehicles are an absolute money pit. They're always broken. They always cost more money. Oh my goodness.
So it's like
It's
actual
ridiculous.
wheeling.
I think it's worse.
Like proportionally worse or actually spending more money?
No, proportionally worse.
Oh, okay.
I mean, his RC has been broken more than Ben's 4Runner has.
Are you going to bring it on the snow trip?
Probably not.
If it's broken, you can drive it in manual mode.
What were you saying, Coy?
I just found out the Mac tool guy, the truck that makes the mechanic shops. Yep. Our shop at the company I work for, we have a shop that works on our equipment. He is a Traxxas dealer now, and when he comes in, he has a full set of Traxxas stuff that you can buy on truck credit.
So God, that's
he gets these things out and is driving around. They're like, we could just pay you $50 a week for 10 years. And yeah, he's making a killing selling those RC trucks on truck credit.
Oh my goodness.
It's next level evil if you think about it.
It is. It really is.
Those trucks are already pretty evil.
I know, but this just makes it a little bit more. It's like selling drugs to children at that point. Like it's just a little extra evil.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't even things that are going to help you earn a living. These are things that are going to cost you more money.
Yeah. Not only are they expensive, they also break a lot, and then you're going to buy more parts from them. Have to give them, once you're hooked, you're in.
Yeah. Well, enough about me, because we're going to hear about me later in the show anyways. Coy, what have you been up to?
I haven't been up to a lot, but I just got a notice on Saturday that the suspension for the race car is coming. So finally, I ordered it on Black Friday, and it'll be here and supposedly this Friday.
Oh, the race car. I thought you were talking about your Toyota.
Nah, I got rad flows on that. Just had those rebuilt this last summer before the Moab trip. And
it is his Toyota.
Well, yeah, technically the race car's a Toyota.
That's all Coy owns is Toyotas.
Oh, okay. Well, fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we love what Toyota does for us over here. I got to jump and pause in midair after I say that. Anywho, and I'm just super stoked for our snow trip. We did a little planning meeting, or Jeremy set it up, and I've just been like,
you stole my thunder.
I'm not stealing your thunder. You can talk about it, but I've just been like super jonesing and thinking about it straight time. So,
oh man,
coming up with good ideas like tasing each other mid melee.
No, I'm super stoked for that snow trip. That's for sure. I think we got a fantastic menu going.
Yeah, nacho cheese.
That was like Aaron's only contribution. Was nacho cheese.
Oh, you don't even know the half of it yet. Coy and I are scheming. Just wait.
If you fill my muffler with nacho cheese, I'm going to be pretty pissed.
Muffler.
I wouldn't waste it on your muffler.
I would suck it back out of that muffler. I would put nacho cheese there.
You just stand behind it with your mouth open when I start it up in the morning.
I would.
Unfortunately, it won't be hot enough by then because it'll just have a little bit going through. But anyway, I'm super stoked for that. But yeah, that was kind of the only thing I did this week. So I think maybe we can move on with the show.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
I think we need to have Aaron read this feedback. Did he freeze again, or is he just pretending?
I think he's pretending.
I think he's pretending.
I don't have a good poker face. Oh, I didn't want to read. You guys always make me read the listener feedbacks.
There's a fan running behind you, so
Yeah. So this one's entitled Humble, 5 stars from For King and Country. So if you are For King and Country, hit us up on one of our socials and we'll send you out a sticker. That's it. That's our feedback.
No, you got to read it.
It says, I got, and I didn't, just everybody knows, I had no idea that this was in here until like 5 minutes before the show started. And I begged to have it changed. So it says, I got to shake the hands of one of the hosts. He was like a normal human. It was so cool to just bump into him. Aaron is so cool! !
Like a normal human. He must not talk to you very long.
Oh, I don't think I know who this person is. I'm pretty sure I don't. I'm guessing that it was somebody maybe that I ran into at the Iron Man 4x4 open house. I'm really not sure. So
I feel like they know you. This feels pointed.
it really does. I'm wondering
I think it might be somebody you know.
Yeah, I wonder if it's Brent or something.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Rick wants to know who I paid to write that. Rick, I'm so cheap. I wouldn't pay anybody to write that. We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month. Hey, I got some patches to show off. You guys want to see these?
Nah.
These are not they're not Patriot patches though. So the first one was actually the very first patch I got at SHOT Show, and I got Corona at the SHOT Show. I got the Corona. So it's a little coronavirus. That was kind of fun. This is another one of my favorite ones. It's a gun bunny. It's a rabbit with quad nods and a belt and a gun.
That looks like a sticker.
Nope, that was see the Velcro on the back.
Oh wow, it looked just like a sticker.
This one is fun. It's SHOT Show 2020. Says wear a Wendy. Evil Knievel riding a motorcycle. Man, I wish these would. There we go. The camera's so stuck on my face because it's so beautiful. It doesn't want to do the patch. Team Wendy is a helmet manufacturer. This one is a gecko on a Fax and Firearms barrel. Kind of fun. They do like a fun multicolored barrel.
Yeah, and they call it chameleon, I think.
Did I call it a gecko? And I know it's a chameleon. Yeah. That's really dumb of me. So, do more here. This one's a Block 19. So it's like Legos.
To be fair, they're all that technically.
Yeah. And the last one, this one was from a company I think called Savior. They make some really nifty gun cases out of like banjo cases, and they hold like a gun and a rifle and a pistol and some other stuff in them. So I know those weren't Patriot patches, but they were just my favorite ones that I got from SHOT Show. I'm going to guess I got 50 patches while I was there, maybe more even. So
I'm surprised you didn't display the Gray Ghost patch.
I got some of those too. I got quite a few of those. I got a poker chip from Dead Foot Arms, kind of cool. Little SHOT Show poker chip. Yeah, there's just some neat stuff that came out of there.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
Boy, Tim is really loving you tonight, Coy.
He always violently.
He says you're the best host.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, hang on a second. There's another sentence here. It says, besides Ben, Jeremy, and Aaron, of course.
Yeah, he always directly attacks me for some reason. I don't even know what I've done to him. Like, I don't even know this guy. Some Yahoo Texas with the Jeep, and he's just like that Coy character with the bald head and the beard. Screw him.
Arizona, but yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
So let's talk about the news here. Our first article is about the JL's trying to keep up with the Broncos.
No, JL's not trying to. Jeep is not trying to keep up with the Broncos with this one.
JL owners.
They're not even trying anymore. They realize the Broncos better than them.
I don't know.
JL owners and also Gladiator owners. So you can spend your hard-earned money because you can't get it from the factory. And you can get, here's a overhead view of what's happening here, the turn assist. So someone has figured out a way to modify the software using a dongle from a company called Taser Mini. Taser.
Yeah.
I thought the article said Taser Mini.
Well, that's the product.
The company's called Taser. The product is Taser Mini.
Yes.
I'm getting confused. I wonder if the guy who owns it, his name is Taser Face. So you connect this dongle in, you upload some software, flip some dip switches, do something, and now you can use your steering wheel control buttons to tell the anti-lock brakes to lock the inside tire when you turn left or right. So you can kind of see in this picture we got on the screen that's what's happening here. I saw this and I'm like, hang on a second. It's not turning very tight. I would kind of expected it to just hold that rear tire in one spot, not for it to make a smaller circle than the outside circle. So I went over to Bronco videos and stuff and did some Googling and YouTube watching. And actually the Bronco has about the same inner circle size as the JL. So it doesn't turn any sharper or less sharp. The Bronco's not any better than it. I was kind of surprised. I just assumed when it drugged that corner that it was not quite like tank turning, but I thought it'd be sharper.
I feel like I mean, I don't know exactly how the software works, but I'm hoping that it works like you'd be doing 55, you hit the button and you can lock up a tire. Because there's going to be so many Jeep guys just out on the beach doing 30. You're like, I'm doing a cookie now. And we're going to see it roll 3 times. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Like, I'm stoked for this product. Like, look how sharp I can turn. And just watch them.
Or somebody throws an air locker in their rig and they're using the airlock and then they accidentally turn this thing on.
Oh, good. That'd be so awesome on those little Dana 44s the Rubicons come with. Just watch them, pow, just snap axle like that.
Like you do it on like the Slick Rock or something. If you did it pretty much anywhere else, it'd probably be okay. But
yeah. So if you two want to have Bronco-like abilities on your Wrangler or Gladiator for $329, you could do these things.
Well, I mean, there's other stuff that the tasers do. So
Yeah.
Maybe Tim can get one of these for his Jeep.
Taser Tim.
Yeah.
Tim the Toolman Taser.
Tim the Toolman Kilmer. He can get one, and he
Yeah.
can let us know how it works and do cool Jeep
Cool
turn stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
feel
now
like
his Jeep isn't turning anywhere.
I feel like he needs to drive up for a snow camping trip if he does that.
He should. I don't think he can afford a JL on security guard salary, but still, if he ever does get one, he should get this.
Yeah. So our next story just dropped today. This one's hot off the presses. And it's about the Ford Bronco. So and we saved the best for last here. They finally revealed the Raptor version of the Ford Bronco.
Oh yeah.
Any guesses how much horsepower it has?
Well, I'm looking at the article, so I feel like that's cheating. But
Yeah, it is cheating. So
400 horsepower.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. That's a good amount. Do you know what the Raptor has? The F-150 Raptor?
No, but I'm trying to find it in the article.
I don't know if it's in the
five-ish.
No, I think it's 450. Do you know how much the 392 Wrangler has?
How much?
500.
I was really hoping you guys would answer that one because I don't remember totally. I think it's like 470.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, Tim says the F-150 Raptor has 450, so that's confirmed. Yeah, 470 for the 392 Rubicon Wrangler. So I feel like Ford, maybe they're holding back because they're going to have like a Raptor R model or something. Any thoughts on that?
Well, the F-150 RR Raptor is a V8, so if they... Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting theory.
Because 400 is not like... it just isn't like that much right now. I don't feel like it's that much. The non Raptor versions of the F-150 are getting close to 400 horsepower. So
I wonder are they going to do a Raptor in a two-door?
I didn't catch it in the article, so I'm not sure.
I didn't see
I don't know.
either way.
I don't know why they wouldn't.
Well, that's so 500 horsepower in a two-door Raptor. Selling that to customers seems like dangerous. You know what I mean? As a factory.
Yeah.
So, yeah. On the other hand, this thing weighs almost 6,000 pounds. So that 400 horsepower isn't insane. I don't know.
Tim says no two-door Raptor Bronco, just like no two-door 392. Yeah, so 5,700 pounds. With it having the Raptor suspension, it makes it 8.6 inches wider of a track. Not just the truck overall is that much wider. The track is 8.6 inches wider.
And they got those curvy fender flares on the back.
Pretty good, yeah. I heard some people talking down about those fender flares. What do you guys think about those?
I don't love them.
I don't know if that's actually the because I've seen several different kind of fender flares on these already, so I'm not sure if that's actually the flare that's going to be on it.
You want Jeremy? Can you share the view photos?
Yeah, just give me a sec.
Did you mention that this comes with 37-inch tires from the factory, unlike the Jeep?
Not yet. I mean, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. 37, 12, 50, 17s, I think.
Now those are BF Goodwrench, so in real inches that's like a 35.5, but still it says 37 on the side. But just think, Jeremy, this stock Bronco is like one size smaller tire than yours. Than your Jeep.
I mean that's pretty dang awesome. I'm not gonna lie about that, but I don't know. It still has IFS. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Think how well it's going to handle, like, not going in ditches and like off road and stuff and like down the highway.
Well, I mean, if Ben's rig is an IFS and it goes in all the ditches, so
Look, the number one mod is the driver. So if you I don't want to say too much there, but you can have there's in spite of and because of.
yeah. I don't know. I kind of hate the fender flares now that I'm looking at them more and more. They're not so bad for the rear right there. They're kind of just like, they're okay.
They remind me of like the Arctic truck fender flares.
Yeah.
So those rear fender flares, if you guys were into like crappy rice burners, they have a Rocket Bunny flare look to them. And because of that, I'm going to start calling this a wide body Bronco from now on.
It's the wide body Bronco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can understand why they didn't just go out with the fenders, because if you just went out with the fenders, just like did a flat fender, it'd look more like a Jeep. But I kind of feel like just flat fenders would have looked better.
I like those vents though, right there that you just passed over.
Yeah, it's definitely an aerodynamic enhancement.
I bet it does. It's not even goes through. It's probably just, plastic back there.
Oh, for sure. Even if they did go through, this thing's literally shaped like an apartment building. Like, what are they going to do? Cut down the aerodynamic coefficient. Like,
okay, you're one to talk, Mr. FJ.
Yeah, I claimed no aerodynamics. In fact, I've been many times said I have the aerodynamic coefficiency of a brick.
I've never heard the Bronco claim any aerodynamic efficiency.
When you put vents on your fender, you're claiming something.
You're claiming that you need more air to the engine, I think.
So it says in that picture 13 inches of front wheel travel. That's quite a bit on something factory.
So it looks like they just bolted on new shock towers, if I'm honest here.
I hope they did, because that means every single Bronco in the owner already can just bolt on new shock towers to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that'd be pretty nice.
And I believe that the rear has 14 inches of suspension travel. So 13 and 14 inches is a lot of suspension travel for
a stock vehicle,
a factory vehicle. Yes.
Yeah, I wish they had the up and down travel kind of separated out on this.
Yeah, that would be kind of nice.
Because, I mean, for an IFS rig, for sure, that's crazy. I mean, and for a stock, man, I think this thing's going to be a killer rig. And honestly, what's to do to it? Like, my fairly highly modded FJ has smaller tires and less suspension travel. It's inferior in literally every way.
Are those exhaust cutouts?
Yep, looks like it.
What?
Yep, good eye.
That's
and I'm just scrolling through really quick. There's so many photos that I feel like I just have to keep scrolling in order to get.
Well, it says there's 119 of them. Yeah.
No.
What has me excited is that what has me excited is that the F-150 Raptor just seems like all it is for high-speed desert running or driving to and from construction sites. Like it's not good for anything else.
Oh, you figured out its business model.
You don't really rock crawl with it or anything like that.
No.
And I feel like the Bronco is going to step up, and maybe it isn't the best rock crawler, but I think it's going to definitely rock crawl better than an F-150 would.
At least fit down trails and snow wheel and stuff better. I'm just blown away by how amazing this thing is from the factory. I mean,
yeah,
it's literally way better than the vehicle that I have that I've spent years working on to make it pretty good.
So I'm curious, Coy, do you think that you have $70,000 into your FJ?
I absolutely do not.
Because that's the starting price here is $70,000.
Yeah, but if you look at his vehicle new, MSRP new, and what he's done, do you have $70K into it?
No, I paid it was I bought it used. It was like 2 years old, and I paid $26,000 for it. And I probably have, I don't know if my wife's listening. I don't think I have more than 10 grand into it, honestly. I mean, unless you're counting tires, but those are a wear item in my mind.
Yeah.
So, since he doesn't know if his wife is listening, double that by at least 2.
No, I mean, I have, all redone the suspension, lights, winch. Like I wrote 10 grand's a pretty accurate number if we're not counting tires.
Well, and if you think about it, your lights and your winch are not anything that's helping you be more capable on the trail.
Well,
so
no.
if you deducted the cost of that, so
because
So
you
it's
still
inflation
kind of need to
stuff.
throw a winch on here.
Yeah, I mean, this thing needs a different front bumper and, a bunch of lights, and it's there. It's done. Like, it's pretty awesome.
And maybe some skid plates.
Yeah. Well, here's the good news for the people that already have pre-existing orders for a Bronco. You can upgrade your order to a Bronco Raptor. You don't have to get out of line and climb back in line.
I want to know how that works. Is if I go in and I order a Bronco Raptor now, and then they switch their order over, do they jump in line right behind mine, or do they get bumped 2 years in front of me?
Probably 2 years.
That's BS, because I've been waiting to order a Raptor. Nobody told me I could order a regular one and transfer it over.
Sorry, Corey.
Tim says that he needs to get a Toyota. He's got more than 10 grand in his Jeep just this last year alone, and it's still not back on the road. So, I mean, clearly we don't understand, Coy, because we don't own Jeeps.
I mean, yeah, you can probably have about 10 grand into yours, and that's, all custom 2.5-inch suspension, an entire another motor, different transmission. I don't know.
Yeah.
Basically a whole nother truck.
That's about what my summer cost on that transformation there was, about 10G.
Oh, Tim's talking. Don't worry about it. I'm not buying a Raptor. Maybe I will. Maybe I'm going to buy a Raptor now just to show you.
Do it.
Do it.
Screw you, Tim. I'm going to spend 70 grand to spite you.
Best spite purchase ever.
Yes, it really would be.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, Coy, I hope I didn't do the old timeshare treatment with you again tonight. I told you that our topic was called Locker Talk.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what you think Locker Talk is, but we're talking about devices that go in your rear end of your vehicle.
I thought you were talking. Yeah, I actually thought we were going to talk about some of the stuff you did in Vegas, and it'd be a little locker talk, but apparently.
No, that's locker room talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see where you could come up with that.
Yeah, you could see he just got back from Vegas. Like, hey, I got some locker talk, and I'm like, fill me in.
Well,
catfished again.
I thought I was going to live vicariously through Aaron.
Catfished again. By who? Yeah. Now I need to know. By Tony Simon? You got catfished by Tony Simon?
No, I did not. No, I did not. Although I'll be joining him on his podcast tomorrow night. So if you guys want to join in on the Gun and Gear Review podcast at 6 p.m., I don't know where they air it, maybe on YouTube or something. So
I'm always secretly jealous of people who get catfished. Like, at least somebody cares enough about them to try to trick them into loving them, Like, it'd be kind of nice.
All right. You listeners out there, catfish Coy.
Get him.
It'd be nice.
Find him on Facebook. Get him.
Yeah.
So we're talking about lockers. Let's kick this off on talking about when to use a locker. Coy, how many lockers do you have in your FJ?
Just one in the rear.
Just one for now.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
You, out of curiosity, do you plan to put one in the front?
if I ever re-gear, which I probably will at some point, I will definitely put a locker in the front.
Cool. Yeah, and out of the 3 of us, we have 5 lockers between us. How's that?
Yes, we do. Good thing Ben's not here. He would have brought our average down.
By a lot.
Again.
Yeah. It would have been 5 out of 8.
Yeah.
I
Hopefully they
know.
grade on a curve.
Yeah. So, so let's talk about when to use a locker. So Coy, since you have a locker, when do you turn yours on? What kind of obstacles are you going up, down, around?
So to start off with, I have an ISF rigs to an FJ Cruiser. So
ISF,
IFS,
suspension front.
I have an IFS, IFS. Yeah. So I use my locker kind of like more hill climb type stuff. Anything slow, I actually have an electronic fake locker setting, so it uses the brakes to pretend there's a locker, and I find that works actually really well for slow stuff. So faster hill climb type stuff, and then anytime I'm picking a tire up off the ground, once you get one tire off the ground, you can't fake it. You have to have a real locker. So those camber situation where you're flexing a lot and that one tire's unloading, it's time to put the locker in. I don't like to run my locker in the snow. That's me. Some guys swear by it. I do not have good luck with it.
I mean, honestly, in the snow, it definitely depends on the type of snow.
There's been situations, but generally I know guys that just hit snow and they lock everything up, and I've seen that not work well for them, and it generally doesn't work well for me either.
Tim asked if I had a locker in my wife's F-150, and yes, I do. He says, technically, I have 3 lockers, so 2 more than Coy and 3 more than Ben. So, yeah, I just got all the lockers. But the Toyota Avalon does not have a locker yet, so I'm bringing my own average down. What's that?
Does it have a limited slip though?
Not yet. Maybe that's what I need.
Locker.
Yeah, I should get a limited slip for the Avalon. But we're going to talk about limited slips in a little bit. So, you kind of mentioned where you use it. Do you use one going downhill at all to help with stability or anything?
So I've heard guys say that. I don't. The physics of that don't seem to work out for me. I've never had it work that way, because anytime you have your locker engaged, if you brake hard if one side locks up, the other side is locked up too then. So, and obviously in a high slip traction environment, if one side locks up, hopefully the other side isn't. You want that ABS effect. So I don't. If it wasn't an ABS vehicle, there may be some grounds for that to work, but in an ABS equipped vehicle, I do not use lockers to go down obstacles if gravity is just controlling me.
That's a good way to put that, because your brakes are going to be locking up your tires as you go down. So, yeah. How about drag racing? Jeremy slipped in drag racing under when to use a locker. So,
absolutely,
yeah, all the traction you can get, right?
The number one reason to engage a rear locker though is to do cookies on the beach. Like that's the all-time, from what I could see, that's the all-time number one.
So for that to work though, I think that you have to be able to do it in 2-wheel drive, right?
Oh yeah, it's called the yellow wire hack. It's not a big deal.
Is that what they called it in the Toyota, the yellow wire hack?
Yeah, you just clip it and you can lock it whenever you want.
Have you done that hack?
No, I don't want one of my kids to push that button when I'm doing 45 miles an hour in my locker trying to engage.
Gotcha. Well, what you could do is you could cut the wire, but you could add it to its own button or switch somewhere.
I've considered it, but I don't want to be tempted to do cookies on the beach either. So
yeah, so there's something similar with the Nissan. You do some wire hacking as well, and it lets you do it in 2 high, 4 high, or 4 low. Because normally with a factory vehicle, you can only do it like when you're in 4 low, I think. So
Yes.
at least on Nissans and Toyotas. I can't speak for Fords and well, the F-150 will only let you do it in 4 low. So I can't speak for like the Raptors or the Rubicons or anything like that. Yeah, I haven't done it on mine for the exact same reason, Coy. I know I will turn it on when I shouldn't and probably get another ticket or something. So that's the last thing I need is more tickets. So we talked a little bit about when not to use it. You mentioned not going downhill, not in the snow. Are there any other places when you would not want to use it? Maybe an icy road?
Oh, absolutely. If you were going 4 low around town in the hard pack snow, there is absolutely no reason to have your rear locker engaged. You're just asking for trouble. So when those rear
Yeah.
tires are locked up, like a drift vehicle or any type of racing vehicle that you can easily kick that back end out, you're locking those rear tires. And while they give you more forward traction, they don't give you more lateral traction. In fact, they give you less. So you start to spin them, you can easily get out of control.
And then you end up in the ditch.
Like, yeah, like
Or
some
into
people,
another car. Yeah.
But obviously, you don't necessarily have to have a rear locker to end up in the ditch. So just drive carefully.
Yes, exactly. So let's see here. So there's different types of lockers. The purpose of all of them is to provide traction by locking up your rear end or your front end, depending on where you have it placed. So real quick, I'm going to just kind of hit the types of lockers. So there's 2 categories. There's the selectable lockers and there's the non-selectable lockers. So the non-selectable lockers are
For poor people.
they're for the poors, right?
Yes.
They're the ones that they do it themselves. They lock and unlock themselves, and they can surprise you. So these would be the ones that you wouldn't want to have when you're driving on that icy road that you're talking about, or in slippery asphalt from a lot of rain.
Just to correct you a tiny bit, a non-selectable locker doesn't lock and unlock itself. It is like always locked and then unlocks under certain situations. So like when you let off, they're ratcheting, so they're locked, and then when you let off the gas and you're turning, it'll allow one side to spin faster, but not spin slower, if that makes sense.
That's true. You're absolutely correct. They are locked and they unlock, like you said, when you let off. So
They work the opposite of a limited slip. Limited slip is open and under slip locks, whereas a
Yeah.
locker is locked and under certain situations will let some slip.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of screwed the pooch on that. So I called them all non-selectable, and then I said that they all locked and unlocked. Everything that's non-selectable in these categories, some of them are just locked all the time. So our first one on the list is a spool. So I didn't know what a spool was until we started researching this topic. And a spool is, from what I understand, it's like when you weld up when you use a Lincoln locker, right?
A spool is
Like-
when you're too poor to buy a welder.
Or
So
you want to buy something that's not going to break. At least
So
not
here's
here.
You
Here's
don't
a-
usually see 10 sticks 60-11 break, but whatever.
I've not heard of people breaking the weld job that they did on it, but
It's all about your prep work, right?
So I did see a guy weld the spider to the ring gear one time, but I mean, that's on him.
yeah. So I've done it twice, and I've done it twice. The first time I did it, once I was done welding everything all up, I couldn't get the axle shafts in because they somehow misaligned themselves during welding. So the second time I welded up the spider gears while I had the axle shafts in place to make sure that didn't happen again. So
You pulled the axle shafts and you couldn't get it back in.
Which you don't actually have that one listed on here. We always called them the Lincoln Lockers because of Lincoln welders, but that is a that is a cheap, easy way to get a rear locker in a lot of situations.
It definitely is. I mean, it's practically free. So all you got to do is buy some oil to put back in it. So yeah, so maybe we should start with that one. So the Lincoln locker, or a welded differential, front or rear, by the way. You just weld up the spider gears to themselves. It'd be like you just jamming something into the gears to prevent them from spinning, but what you're jamming in there is molten metal that solidifies into solid metal. So,
and it's
I'm
not
glad you described welding to us.
yeah.
And also, Tim, it wasn't a poop. My kids were screaming, so I had to figure out what was going on.
And it's
They're
not as bad as it sounds to weld up. Like I've known lots, especially if it's not a daily, I've known lots of guys that had welded rears and they just run it. And welding the front, if you have a vehicle with non-automatic hubs, like you got to get out and lock the hubs, you don't even know that that front is welded. So till you actually lock the hubs in.
So you lock them hubs.
Yeah. So it's not like where you're going around the corner and one tire's chirping and you're just trying to pull into a gas station and everybody's looking. So they have a place, you know?
Yeah.
I
So
wouldn't use a spool or a Lincoln locker on anything that was driven on the road, though.
I honestly
yeah.
would probably never use it on anything I own, but like I have future and like options and things, but there's lots of people who don't, and that's the only chance they have of driving two wheels at the same time. And that's for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, something we never mentioned at the beginning of this is that just because you have four-wheel drive doesn't mean all four of them are spinning. So
Yeah.
an open differential, which is something that doesn't have a locker, means that it's open. As soon as one tire loses traction, all the power goes to the side that has lost that traction.
Well, I mean, it always sends the power to the side with the least traction.
With the least traction. Yep. So you
It
lift the
always
tire
turns
up in
the
the
side
air.
that's easiest to turn is I
Yep.
think the best way to explain it. So whatever side is easiest to turn will be the one that gets 100% of the power.
Yep.
Unless you have a locker.
Yep.
So that's the reason why people put lockers in to their vehicles.
Yeah. Well, back to the spools. So the spools are considered to be the strongest traction device for your carrier. The downside to that is it tends to transfer a lot of force to all the other components that make up your drive line. So you see a lot of twisted shafts in your axle shafts and stuff like that, just because it just provides that much force.
But
so
if you were building a pre-runner like that, I would probably get a spool. Like I'm never going to turn that rear locker off if it was selectable. Why wouldn't you, you know? Or a lot of you guys do like the mud drags. Most of those guys run a spool. So
or you're doing like a drag race, you know, all those guys do spools.
yeah.
I probably wouldn't do it on a wheeler that goes out to Moab a lot with the slick rock, because obviously you have a lot of traction there.
Yeah.
And that could cause you problems. But hey, I probably also wouldn't do a non-selectable locker, but that's just me.
Yeah. So let's move on to the limited slip. You guys so up on the screen picture, here's a limited slip. Oh,
did you say the price for the spool?
No, I didn't. Let's talk the price at the very end. Let's talk about the pros and cons and work our way through all these. Then we'll run back through and we'll list the prices. That way people can hear the prices back to back.
That's fair.
Yeah. So up on the screen, we've got a picture of a limited slip. You really can't tell what's going on in there. As far as I understand, there's clutch packs in there that detect the slipping and engage and lock. Might be some magic Harry Potter stuff going on also. I'm not sure. Can either of you explain a little better than Aaron? Humble Aaron?
Nope, that was about the best that I could explain.
The one thing I can add, there are different kinds of limited slip. There's viscous, helical, and a clutch type, and I think several others that I'm not even thinking of right now. And while I don't know exactly which ones they are, I believe it's viscous, and I think helical. If you have one tire completely off the ground, it does not work.
And
you have to have some traction for them to work.
Absolutely, and that comes down to there's absolutely a limit to how much torque can be transferred. So it's only going to do so much before it just goes ahead and slips completely.
Yeah.
And I think the other big con is that they will eventually wear out, most of them.
Yes. Yep.
And some do require a special additive to your diff fluid. So they need a friction modifier added to the oil to run them. Depending on if it's from the factory, it probably won't. There'll be a factory oil for it. But if you're adding it, that's something you got to think about. It's going to cost you an extra $20 every time you change that gear oil.
If you're running it from the factory, it most of them still require it. At least all the limited slips I've ever owned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Every limited slip I've owned from the factory has not been a clutch type. It's been a helical, and they don't require additive. But
I guess I'm just unlucky.
I've never had a limited slip. Always wanted one, but I always owned vehicles that they never made them for. So, yeah. Our next one here in the still non-selectable is the Detroit locker. So this is the one that most people hear about. This is probably the one that a lot of people will have out on the trail. The Detroit locker. Here's a picture of one.
I thought you were going to say this is the one that most people hear.
I thought this. I was going the same thing. Yeah, this is the one that makes the best noise.
Yeah. So talk about it. Tell me why am I going to hear this one on the trail?
Well, I mean, especially you're going to hear it on the road, but you're also going to hear it on the trail. But when it tends to engage and go between engaging and disengaging, it oftentimes will give you a loud clunk. And you can often feel it in the vehicle. You'll feel it actually clunk. And if you have passengers who are not wheelers and don't know what's going on, it will make them a little bit disturbed because they will be wondering what the heck is going on with your vehicle and why you're ignoring that. But
yeah.
And then also if you're trying to, power through the corners, it does kind of affect handling because it tends to lock on you when you're trying to do power. And so if you're powering through the corners, it can provide some of that chirping and slipping of a tire.
So these are also called Lunchbox Lockers, and I'm not sure why. I don't know where that came from, but that's another term for them.
I have no idea why they're called Lunchbox Lockers. I've also heard them called Ratcheting Lockers because that's how they kind of work inside, similar to a ratchet. So under power, those angled teeth dig into each other. You let off the power, and there can be some play, and they can make a lot of clicking noises around corners and things. Definitely have kind of a funny noise.
Yeah,
but you have to essentially treat them as your tires are locked all the times. It just basically cuts down on that chirping around corners.
All right. Well, that's the last of the non-selectable. So let's talk about the selectable ones. So these ones, because they're selectable, are going to cost more. They're going to require you to be able to turn them off and on because you're selecting when you want it on and off. So let's talk about the first one. And this is what most...
Hold on. Before you go into the first one, the main pro with that is that it does not affect your on-road driving.
Because you can select it in the off position.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's not on, it works just like an open differential, which is the best in most road conditions. But then when you need it, when you're off-roading, you can turn it on and it'll work as though, it'll work the best for both situations.
Yeah. So the first one, which is what almost all factory vehicles came with, if they had a locker, is an electronic locker. So it has a magnet on it, an electromagnet that pulls a nub in and out. And when it is in the in position, it locks up that rear end assembly so that it spins together as one. So yeah, electric locker, it's what's in just about everything.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest cons to the electric locker is just if it breaks, you don't know exactly why it breaks, because it's harder to diagnose because obviously you can't see electricity unless maybe you're an electrician. Maybe you electricians can see electricity.
To be honest, for me, if any of these break, it's all voodoo. Like it's just straight witch magic. I'm just be like, yeah, it's broke.
I don't know. Airlock. Well, we'll get to that later, but
yeah. So here's on the screen, we got a picture of an e-locker. It looks a lot like the limited slip, like the Detroit. You can't really see inside it, but this one has some wires poking out of it. So yeah, that's your giveaway. That's your telltale giveaway, is the wires poking out.
And some e-lockers have a solenoid on the outside of the diff that actually activates those, like the 80 series Land Cruisers have a solenoid on the outside of the differential that locks them.
Yeah.
It's aux locker, Tim. Aux.
Yeah.
Another thing
that
it is. Another thing that I've run into that kind of is a downside to the e-lockers, especially the factory e-lockers specifically, is they're typically wired in through the computer of the vehicle. So you're going to have some limits on when you can actually engage the lockers.
Yeah. Let's see here. I hear about some people having their factory e-lockers go out also, but it seems pretty rare. They seem very robust. And I mentioned that like almost all factory locked vehicles come with that e-locker. Up until I was going to say up until recently, but it's been a little while. But you couldn't buy an aftermarket e-locker. You could only buy the other styles, the cable and air actuated and the non-selectable. So aftermarket electric lockers are actually fairly new.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Moving on to the locker that Tim's asking about.
Yeah.
Looking at some cable lockers. So aux locker is one of the main manufacturers of the cable lockers. The downside to this one is it requires you to run a cable, which usually I think normally comes through the floor pan of the vehicle. So you obviously got to drill a hole down in the floor, but
yeah, it's not terrible. It's just like a e-brake cable or something like that. So the selectability on these are pretty good. I have heard of the cable breaking because they aren't serviced well and things like that. But the good news is that if the cable breaks, you can get under your rig with a pair of vice grips or something and tug or push, and you can unlock that rear end.
Or lock it.
Or lock that rear end, yes. You could manually do it. You'd have somebody riding on your back bumper holding onto a pair of vice grips. As you go tricky obstacle once you get it locked. So,
yeah.
And they were like I feel like they were one of the OG selectable lockers for the longest time. They've been around for a really long time, aux locker.
Yeah. And kind of the last one here on the list, unless somebody has something else for the cable locker, is the air lockers. So this is what a lot of people are going to now if they're going selectable. The biggest downside to this one is it requires an air source. Mm-hmm. But I honestly feel like these lockers are the easiest to diagnose an issue with. because you're usually going to hear,
It's
unless
always
you're
an air leak. What do you? Of
right,
course, yeah.
unless your air, your compressor's not working, then obviously, that might be electrical or something like that. But if your
Once in a
compressor,
while, diff oil's flying out of the vents when you have it on. Once
Yeah.
again, it's an air leak.
well,
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. You either listen for an air leak in the line, and that's the worst part about the air lockers is the air lines can tend to be a little bit easy to melt if you run them close to anything too hot.
Mhm.
You're either listening for an air leak in a line or you're listening for an air leak out of your vent on your differential. So if it's leaking out of the differential, something happened internal to the locker. If you hear it anywhere else, it's happening somewhere before the locker. So
Yeah.
nice and easy to diagnose.
Yeah.
Not necessarily so easy to fix on the trail.
A nice thing about air lockers, at least the ARB ones, anyhow, is when they do fail, they always fail to the off position. So if you had it locked and something happened, you lost your air source, they unlock and you can drive down the highway and make turns and things. So they'll always drop to that unlock position.
That
which,
is also true. Yeah.
in my opinion, I think is a huge advantage because, like you were saying, fixing an air leak, super easy to find, pretty challenging on the trail sometimes. And if you were stuck with that, that would suck.
Yeah.
Unlike the electric lockers, there's no magnet in there that's picking up any metals. That's the one downside of electric lockers, is if you actually have any wear, that will stick inside that electric locker and can cause problems. So
Yeah.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
And it can cause them to jam in the locked position.
Yes, and it's not common, but it can happen.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well,
and-
so with an air locker, though, a lot of people are running an air compressor. If they're doing this kind of wheeling where they want lockers, they most likely have an air source already.
Yeah.
So,
now, I've never tested this, but I believe it only takes about 10 psi to activate an air locker. Am I right?
I think so. So and this is going off of my power tank. So you can also use CO2 to run air lockers.
Yeah, true.
And
Well, I was going to say, if you kept an extra piece and you had a passenger, you could just literally have that running out the hood, just blowing it real hard, get over your obstacle. Oh, I can breathe now, I've never tried it, but I think it would work.
I don't know. 10 psi is actually probably a lot when it comes to trying to just blow that with your face.
yeah, I think you're going to struggle to inflate something to 10 psi.
Yeah,
I think
so.
But I'm not going to stop you from trying. When you come snow wheeling, pull your breathalyzer out, and we'll install a little air gauge in line with your breathalyzer, and we can find out.
Wow, he's not even gonna say he doesn't have a breathalyzer in his Toyota. Come on, man.
I use a balloon to run that. Like everybody knows.
What
do you think? I don't have an air compressor for off-roading. It's to start my truck.
Can you imagine?
Oh my god,
that's
wow.
funny.
I will say, if you are going to run air lockers, make sure you pick up one of the splice kits in case you somehow damage your line and you start leaking out of the line.
That's a good point.
It can be easy to fix an air leak if you have a splice kit and it's not internal to the locker.
Well, and those splice kits, they just push button. I mean, I shouldn't say push button, but it push lock. You slide the hose in, you push a little harder, and it's locked in place. So
yeah, totally.
It's like the shark bite plumbing fittings. So yeah, one thing you talked about running it too close to a heat source. When I ran my front air locker line, I slipped one of those shiny silver fireproof sleeves over top of it because it had to go fairly close to the headers on my truck. So I wanted to make sure that I protected them if I could. Little trick there.
Yep.
I just want to say I Googled it. A human can produce up to about 14 psi. A normal breath is 2 psi. Normal people can
Wow.
create around 10. With training, you can get her up to 14. So
training.
maybe that should be part of your training regiment is trying to give yourself an aneurysm until you
Yeah.
lock the locker.
Yeah. Huh.
Hey, Aaron, you're training for stuff that's wildly more unlikely to happen than an air locker going out. I just want to throw that out there.
All right.
Hold
Well,
on.
yeah.
I feel like if he's gonna have enough airline to manually inflate the lock or manually engage the locker, I feel like he could just replace the airline in his locker and not have to do that manual blowing.
Yeah, you're just trying to get off the trail. It's muddy and stuff there, man. You don't want to lay in the mud under your truck. You just quick add that on. Wham bam.
You'd probably want to put a check valve in it, though. Like, if you're going to blow it yourself, you'd probably want a check valve so you blow past the check valve and it won't let it come back.
Mhm.
And then maybe you could pump it up. So you like put some breath in and then you put some more and you're pumping and you're blowing and yeah.
I think if I was going to do that, I would just chuck an air fitting onto it and just bump it against my tire and instantly equal it out with just 30 psi and move on. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point, I feel like I'm just going to winch my vehicle out over any obstacles that I need my
No,
locker.
I'm going to sit in the passenger seat and engage your lockers. I'll have a hose in each hand. Just
Wow.
You need the rear one or the front one. Hold on.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go over the cost of these real quick. So starting at the least expensive is the spool. So one thing to preface here is that all these prices are for a Dana 44. So probably like a 30 spline Dana 44 is kind of what was the general thing that we were looking at. So
And are you going off the cheapest version of each one of these?
no, not necessarily. I mean, yes, but not necessarily. By cheapest, Yukon gear and axle was some of these. So the spool is $230, which that's pretty cheap for that chunk of metal. Limited slip is $340.
How much was the Lincoln locker?
Well, the Lincoln locker is in theory free if you have a welder or a friend with a welder.
Well, you still got to factor in the material because you have the
Well, we're
The
not
material's
factoring any.
already there. You just add 6011.
Yeah.
right. Well, you need to add the shielding gas and you need to add the
No, you don't. No, that just
you
exists
amateur.
in your garage. I mean, it costs you a pizza because you went to your friend's house.
Okay. You don't Lincoln weld things with a wire welder. You arc weld. You burn it in, buddy. So you just got a couple sticks of whatever your choice d'oeuvre of rod is, and you just burn them in.
Yeah. Eric says that could be a new event for off-road Olympics is inflating a locker.
Oh my goodness, that would be amazing.
So yeah, so Lincoln locker, I'm saying it's free. It might cost you pizza if you do it at a friend's house. Spool, $230. Limited slip, there's a little bit more going on with those, $340. A Detroit.
They're really only $340.
Yeah. For that was Auburn Gear. I think Auburn Gear was the brand on that one.
yeah.
That's wildly cheap. If you looked for any like rear wheel drive car or front wheel drive car for a limited slip, it would be $1,000.
Yeah, that's the reason why. That's the reason why I never had a limited slip in any of the cars. They either didn't exist or they were wildly expensive. Yeah, I would have paid $340 in a heartbeat. So
yeah.
An automatic locker. So like the Detroit, the Lunchbox Locker, the Laka Locker. I think those from Australia. $500 basically for one of those. So we're getting up there now. We've already doubled our price over the spool. Let's jump into the selectable lockers. The cable locker is going to be about the cheapest one you can get. They're just under $1,000, but you also have to buy the cable actuator. So usually
the $999 one came with the cable actuator.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood you on that one. Okay. There we go. Okay, good. So that one comes with it.
Depending on the
ARB
brand, though, there's like deluxe, like because you have a cable actuator that looks like a throttle control, and then you can get them with like a nice actual shift lever too. And I think those cost a chunk more.
Yeah.
This is just basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all just basic. So an ARB air locker is $1,050, and that doesn't include your air compressor or your airlines or anything. So that's
Wait,
just the locker.
airlines, yes. The
Does it
ARB
come with airlines?
airlines. Yeah.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they do.
I didn't know that because I got mine secondhand, so my bad. And
Yeah.
thank you for correcting me.
But it doesn't cover
I'll be
your
humble
Yeah.
about that.
it you're right though, it doesn't cover your air source.
Yeah.
Whatever you decide to use. Unless it's Koi, then he's free.
You just got to buy him a pizza and he'll inflate your lockers. And then the most expensive on the list is the e-lockers, coming in at $1,245, and that doesn't include whatever wiring you have to do to get from the locker to a switch wherever you want to mount your switch. So,
Or potentially the switch.
yeah. So yeah, you've got quite the range. The cheapest one, not including the free one, is $1,000 cheaper than the most expensive one. So we got one more thing that I know we're running a little long here, but we got one more thing to talk about, and that's the cost to install these. So is a spool, you think, going to cost you any less than, and I just want to talk about installing the locker itself into a rear end on a solid axle truck. Let's not talk about IFS. Let's not talk about a front diff. Let's talk about a rear diff only, because that's where most people have them. Is a spool going to cost you any less to install than installing a air locker or a e-locker in the back of your rig?
Do you want it to be functioning?
Well, no, let's say you just aren't good at doing that part yourself, but you can do everything else. Because
Like
you want to pay a pro to put it in, to attach the ring gear and get everything else done.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to. So if you're talking an air locker, you're gonna have to drill the housing,
Yeah.
bulkhead fitting. I guess if you towed it in and you towed it away, like they were not closing it, they were not doing the airline to the, but maybe you drilled the fitting before you took it to the shop. I don't think it would cost any more. But if you're including to actually make it functioning, like you're running the airlines, you're drilling and tapping the housing for the air lockers, you're definitely going to be more.
Sure. Yeah, that definitely, I mean, it's definitely more work to do that. But as far as the installation of those, it seems to me, and we were talking about this before the show, that it's the same amount of labor to put one in over the other for that portion of it.
If you're just talking the gear setup.
Yeah, the gears are going to need shimmed regardless.
Right. Yeah.
With the exception of welding it. But
well, yeah.
That's not,
That's because your gears aren't coming out with that one.
Yeah, you're welding the original Spider gear, so.
Yeah, so on all the rest of these, you are pulling that center section out. You're taking the old gears off and putting them onto your locker, or maybe you're upgrading gears while you're doing it, because that's what a lot of people do as well.
Yeah, you should definitely change your gears out if you're gonna go through the effort to put in a new locker.
It's the time to do it. So
right, because the gears cost like what, $200,
and
you're just saving yourself all the labor.
$200 to $300.
Yeah, if your gear set were to go out.
Yep. So yeah, so not only did you just have to pay for a locker, but now we're telling you also have to buy gears. This is getting expensive.
And you got to pay somebody to do it, because unless you have the knowledge and all the equipment to set up gears properly, I wouldn't recommend doing it.
It's little to no equipment. It's mostly knowledge and experience. Like, I've actually watched quite a few YouTube videos on it, and I'm like 75% sure I could do it. but that 25% would be a very expensive unknown.
Yeah.
And so it's not as hard as it sounds. It's like it's pretty doable, but there's an experiential part of it that it's probably worth paying somebody to do it if you've never done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have that buddy that's going to do it for a pizza, maybe you don't want to use him.
Well, see how many he's done and talk to those guys. Like,
Yeah, that's actually a fair point.
they got
Yeah.
50,000 miles on theirs. That maybe
That's true.
Or if he works for a shop that does that, and he's like, buy some pizza and some beer, and I'll do it for you. Just make sure he doesn't drink the beer before he sets up the gears.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how I get my flow going, though, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, everybody, for listening, hanging out with us for the rest of the show, running along with us. We appreciate you guys. Even Tim, we love your jokes. Make sure you're checking us out on YouTube. If you're just listening to us on the podcast form, check us out on YouTube live. You too can be part of these awesome comments. It actually, when I was at SHOT Show, I talked to several people about coming on the show to talk about their goods, and they were surprised about the live comments that they get, and they're like, oh, actually that sounds like a lot of fun, because maybe they might think of questions that we might not have thought of, like, can you inflate your locker by your mouth? So anyways, we do really appreciate you guys in the comments. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends, helping us grow, and God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.
So
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
I don't get it. I was going to say that I have an idea for a new Overland product, the Overland Bellows.
Are we still live?
Yes, we're still live.
Okay.
In case you need to use your air lockers, you have
Overland Bellows.
Yeah, that you just, like you're building a fire.
There you go.